Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining today for our webinar on 5 security and operational challenges convenience stores can solve in 2026. My name is Megan Bennett, and I work on the marketing team here at March Networks. I'll be moderating today's discussion alongside my colleague Jim Hamilton, who is our Customer Success Manager at March. We're joined here today by Jeff Hanna from March Networks, Roy Balder from Amerlux, and Wayne Eberly from Hawaii Petroleum. Hey, hi, everyone. And thank you all for joining today. To get us started, Jeff, could you please introduce yourself?
Hey folks, Jeff Hanna here. I'm the Mid-Atlantic Channel Account Manager. I've been with March for about 15 years, starting in the sales engineering role until evolving into a sales role.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Great to have you here. Wayne?
Hi, good morning. My name is Wayne Eberly. I'm with Hawaii Petroleum and our Ministop stores, which is our convenience stores. We have 20 of our stores scattered throughout Maui and the Big Island of Hawaii. And we also have 6 privately operated standalone stations.
It's a pleasure to have you here today, Wayne. Last but not least, Roy, please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. Roy Balder with Amerlux Lighting. Been in the industry for about 25 years. Been with Amerlux for the last 2 years. And Amerlux Lighting is a division of Delta Electronics.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And thanks again to everyone for joining today. Today, we're going to focus on 5 real problems convenience store operators are facing on a day-to-day. What we'll do is we'll talk through how these problems show up in the field, and then we'll move into how March Networks and Amerlux are tackling these issues. From there, we'll hear directly from Wayne and how this looks in his day-to-day.
What makes this discussion relevant is that our convenience store operators are trying to improve security and operations at the same time, and these are not isolated issues. They affect investigations, day-to-day store performance, accountability, visibility, compliance, and how managers support multiple locations. So the more practical we make the discussion today, the more useful it will become.
Thanks, Jim. And I agree with that. But before we get fully underway, what I want to do is just go over a couple housekeeping items. This session will be recorded, and we'll be sharing the recording afterwards with everyone who has registered. Please feel free to submit any questions as you go. If you look up to the top right corner, you'll see a little question mark in a box. That's where you submit your questions. Feel free to also make comments throughout the webinar and start any discussions in our little chat feature as well, which is right next to the questions. And lastly, we are going to aim to keep this session around 45 minutes. So what are we going to cover today? Jim, could you take us through the agenda?
Sure thing. We'll start with why this topic matters now. Then we're going to walk through the 5 key challenges convenience store operators are trying to solve today. From there, we'll talk about how March Networks help address those issues, and we're going to move into a live demo. So from there, we'll hear about Amerlux's perspective, and then spend a little bit of time on the customer review with Hawaii Petroleum before we close out with a Q&A and key takeaways.
Great. Thanks, Jim. So why does this matter now? We want to break down, before we break down the 5 problems, we want to take a step back for a moment and explain why we are doing this webinar and why we are having this discussion. Well, to start off, the convenience store industry is a large, fast-moving, and incredibly operational industry. There are more than 121,000 convenience stores operating across the US, and globally, this just multiplies exponentially. So convenience stores account for about 80% of the fuel purchased in the US as well. So a lot of fuel operators are connected to convenience store operations. And this just goes to show it generates over $340 billion in in-store sales. And that was just in 2025. So when we talk about security in this industry, we're not talking about something narrow or isolated. Convenience stores are balancing more than just the physical security. They are managing fuel operations, transaction risk, customer activity, store consistency, and a lot more. And because of this environment is so active, even small gaps in visibility or slow investigations can create a lot of friction for operators. And if it takes too long to verify what happens, and if teams can't clearly see what's happening at the forecourt or around the pumps, these issues quickly affect both security and day-to-day operations. So that's really what we're here for. It's about reducing friction, improving visibility, and helping operators make faster, better decisions across the business.
Yep. And from a customer success point of view, that's exactly where the value shows up. Customers do not measure success by how many devices are installed at their locations. They measure it by whether or not they can use the system to solve real problems faster. Things like, can they investigate an incident in minutes instead of hours? Can they review suspicious transactions with the right context? Can they get better visibility around pump stores, multiple locations? And can they support compliance and consistency without adding more manual work? That's where these systems become more than surveillance. They become operational tools that help teams respond faster, work more efficiently, and manage their environments with more confidence. And that's why the 5 problems we're about to talk about matter so much to these customers today.
Okay, thanks, Jim. But before we get started, and move into the 5 challenges, we'd like to get a quick sense of where the audience is today from a modernization standpoint.
Perfect. All right, let's launch our first poll.
Okay, bringing it up now.
Excellent.
Okay, here we go.
Excellent. So the first question, poll question is, what is your current modernization path? We've got on-premise, and you just maybe want to add in some intelligent camera upgrades. You want to balance both hybrid, cloud hybrid, and on-premise. You're ready for full cloud managed solutions, or you're still evaluating.
Great. And it's always interesting to see where these priorities land, especially because so many of these challenges overlap with day-to-day operations.
Yeah, and in a lot of environments, one issue usually leads into another. What starts as a visibility problem can quickly turn into an investigation issue or compliance issue or an operational one even.
Right. I'll give it a couple more seconds, and I still see some votes coming in. Then I'll share the results. Okay, let's share the results. So it's looking like we're at a tie between migrating to a hybrid cloud on-premise approach and still evaluating. So I think that's great context here. Any of the panelists have any comments on these results?
I can add it. I think it's really telling, just with a lot of the advancements that are coming, that a lot of folks are still kind of feeling out what options are out there and what's going to work best for them. So not totally surprising, just with a lot of the advancements recently.
Agreed. Okay, so what are the 5 challenges? To frame the rest of the webinar, we want to look at the 5 practical problems C-store operators are trying to solve right now. The first one we've identified is slow manual investigations. The second one being fuel drive-offs and forecourt visibility. Third one being shrink, fraud, and suspicious transactions. Fourth, restricted item sales and compliance. And last but not least, inconsistent operations across locations.
And these are the issues we hear most consistently because they're real, repeatable business problems. Operators we'll find are trying to get to the right evidence faster, see more around the pumps, investigate suspicious activity better, especially in supporting compliance issues, and also get more consistency across their locations.
Great. But again, we'd like to hear from the audience. So we have another poll for you.
Cool. Poll number 2, what is your biggest challenge today? And we've got slow investigations, forecourt visibility, and drive-offs, shrink suspicious transactions, restricted item compliance, and multi-site consistency.
Great. We'll give another moment on this one. A lot of these areas are closely connected, so it's always interesting to see which one rises to the top first when we run these type of polls.
Yeah, exactly. And depending on the environment, the same team can be often juggling with all of them at once. So it's not just security, but it could be operations, compliance, and even overall performance too.
Yeah, I agree, Jim. Okay.
Yeah.
People are still hopping in here, but I'm gonna close it out. It's been almost a minute. Okay. So what we are seeing pretty even divide between slow manual investigation, shrink fraud, suspicious transactions, and inconsistent operations. But I'm not surprised. Like I said, a lot of these are closely connected. Jeff, Wayne, do you have any comments? Roy?
The inconsistent operations, especially if you're using different video systems rather than tying them all together, definitely can lead to slow manual investigations where there's a different process throughout. Ultimately, all of this technology is there to help become more profitable in the business. So shrinking fraud and reducing suspicious transactions really comes to the forefront. So the poll results, Jeff, definitely reflect that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's hop back in. Now that we've heard from you guys, it's time to go into how we could talk about the different problems. So the first problem, slow and manual investigations. Jeff, when operators say investigations are taking too long, what are they really struggling with?
Well, most folks are confident that the video exists, especially if it's within the 90-day retention period that's most common in the industry. But they're struggling to find quickly what they need to, having to watch video and fast forward, rewind. That's common across a lot of platforms. But when we start to link in data points to be able to jump right to that video without having to watch video, that really helps folks be more efficient.
Yeah, and is that usually where the biggest frustration comes in? Like not the incident itself, but the amount of time and manual effort it takes to get a
Yeah,
clear answer?
spot on. The issue's often the workflow. If teams have to spend too much time searching, scrubbing, or piecing information together, even a simple investigation becomes more disruptive than it should be.
Yeah, and that's a good point because the impact isn't just on security, it also affects operations. Wayne, how has that shown up for you operationally?
Made a big difference for us. With the evidence vault, it allows me to store my videos and have it accessible at any time, even after the 90-day period, number one. But most of all, the system has been easy enough to use so that we can get our information within 10 to 20 minutes and have it all set up, saved in the cloud, sent off to the police department. So we don't have to burn disks. We don't have to do that. Where in the past, we would have to download, save it, burn a disk, then deliver it to the police or have them come pick it up. And that took about at least 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the size of the video or whatever we had. Whereas now I've got it down to about 30 minutes most of my time, getting it from start to finish.
Great. And when you save that much time, Wayne, I imagine that changes more than just the investigation. It also changes how quickly your team can move on to the next decision or the next issue.
Correct.
Right. Roy, where does visibility and environment design come into the picture?
The lighting side of things, if the space is designed and illuminated properly, that camera side of the investigation is stronger from the beginning. Better lighting and better visibility help create better footage.
Thanks for that insight, Roy. Over to you, Jim, for problem number 2.
All right. Let's move to the forecourt. Jeff, why should I start? So problem 2 is fuel drive-offs and forecourt visibility. Jeff, question to you. Why is this such a critical area?
Yeah, the forecourt where the pumps area are, the vehicles are coming in and out of the facilities, one of the highest risk and highest visibility zones for the business. Operators need to be able to see clearly across the pumps, parking areas, and the broader pumps area.
And imagine it's not just about drive-offs either. It's about having the visibility to understand what happened quickly, whether it's an issue, whether there's an issue in that environment.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it could be a drive off, it could be a customer conflict or suspicious activity, or just needing to verify an event. The forecourt is such an active part of the business that strong visibility there matters every day.
And that's where the operator's perspective is really helpful here. Wayne, how does this look for you at Hawaii Petroleum?
Okay, for us, drive outs isn't a big issue because of our payment structure. So we've been able to curb that one. However, the forecourt visibility is still very important for us because a lot of times the um, workers aren't able to really see what's going on at the pumps because of where they're located. So we have monitors set up so that they can see exactly what's going on out there. If there's a problem, if there's something weird going on or what have you. So the visibility is very, very strong. Emphasis, emphasis is made strongly on that.
Yeah, excellent. And so even if drive outs are less of a concern for you, having that visibility still gives you more confidence in what's happening at the site overall, I suppose.
Correct.
Yeah, cool. And Roy, where does lighting connect to this problem?
Well, both lighting and design influence what the camera can capture. Better lighting supports better visibility, especially in the exterior space and low light conditions.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. All right, on to the third problem. Problem number 3, shrink, fraud, and suspicious transactions. Jeff, back to you. Why are stores seeing a rise in these issues?
Employees are taking the liberty to find additional sources of income by stealing from the business. They're also providing sweethearting deals to their friends by pushing a lot of product over the counter, but only charging for something small, maybe less than $1.
And I think that's what makes it difficult for operators. A lot of these issues can look small in isolation, but over time they can really add up and become much harder to catch without the right visibility.
Yeah, that's right. There aren't always obvious one-time large events. They can be repeated patterns. Without the right tools, they're easy to miss.
And where do you see the biggest value in linking transactions to video specifically?
This is where the video becomes much stronger when it's paired with the business context from the point of sale information, license plate readers, and other data events from the facility. Operators are dealing with refund abuse, voids, suspicious register activity, and other exceptions, and it helps to connect video evidence to really paint the pictures for those investigators.
So instead of just seeing something that's unusual has happened, teams can actually understand what happened and review it with more confidence.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It gives the investigation more context and makes the review process much more effective.
And that's where the day-to-day user experience really matters. Wayne, what have you found to be the most useful here in practice?
We've used smart rules recently, where if there's an employee that has 3 voids or refunds in an hour, it automatically flags it and sends us a notification so that the store manager as well as operations can look into it right away to see what's going on. That has been very popular since we started it. It's curbed a lot of the employee theft. We still have a few people that have taken liberties of basically helping themselves after hours, after the store closes, to go and grab stuff and walk out, but we've caught it due to our auditing and investigations that way. But using the smart rules really helps where we can determine what's going on.
Amazing. And that sounds like a big part of the value. So not just finding the issue, but making it easier to package it, share it, act on it, those sorts of things.
Right.
Cool. And Roy, anything you'd like to add from the operational point of view?
Well, from the operational point of view, this is yet another example of why more connected environments matter. Anything that reduces friction in how teams identify, review, and respond to issues is very valuable.
Thanks. I also wanted to weigh in from a customer success standpoint. I've also seen significant value in how Searchlight Cloud helps identify patterns and outliers when it comes to refunds, voids, and discounts. I find that it really helps teams focus on what really matters and not kind of getting lost in the noise, especially if you have like a lot of transactions, like convenience stores do. It's easy to get kind of lost in the noise. Over to you, Megan.
Thanks, Jim. That was some great context there, especially from, your point of view, or when you're seeing it on a day-to-day basis with different customers and helping them out. So
Mhm.
thanks for that. The fourth problem we want to talk about is restricted item sales and compliance. Jeff, question for you. Why should operators think about this as more than just a store level issue?
This is really all about accountability and risk. Operators need practical ways to review transactions and make sure that their employees are doing the proper ID scans and following the right operating procedures. Consistency at the store across all of the locations is really important to keep the business consistent.
And that's really the challenge, isn't it? It's not just about whether one employee followed the process one time. It's whether operators can consistently or can create consistency across the business.
Precisely. It becomes a broader management and compliance issue when you're trying to maintain standards across multiple stores and teams.
And that's, again, where the operator perspective is really important. Wayne, how have you, or have you been using like Searchlight Cloud or Smart Rules? How has that helped you with restricted item sales and making sure procedures are being followed?
We also use the basic Searchlight, which allows them to view restricted items and so forth. And that tells us in the way we had it designed, if the procedures were followed properly in Searchlight, they can see across the board, was the ID scanned or was it manually inputted? And then, of course, we have the video then to go to back it up as well. We've also created, in Searchlight Cloud, we created a card for that as well, so that each store manager can pull up for their store and see and check it that way. So that, which is part of their daily routine. They have to check their voids, their refunds, as well as restricted sales.
Great. And so, from the management side of things, has this been helping you in terms of, reporting and auditing and compliance?
It has. It also helps with coaching. If an employee needs more coaching to do their job properly and so forth. So it is a very important tool that has worked really well since we implemented it.
Great. Thank you for your insight, Wayne. Roy, where does the environment design connect into this problem?
Well, consistency matters with lighting also. The easier it is to see what's happening clearly, the easier it is to support compliance and ultimately accountability.
Thank you. Last but not least, the fifth problem, inconsistent operations across locations. Jeff, over to you. Why is this so important for operators?
Yeah, operators really want to verify the procedures, understand what's happening across the sites, and improve consistency in their day-to-day operations, ensuring that customers have the best experience possible.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point, because this is where the conversation really moves beyond security and into overall business performance.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about visibility, accountability, and making sure that the standards are being followed consistently across the operation.
Yep. And again, that's where, better visibility can make a real difference for leadership. Wayne, what does operational consistency mean for you?
Our day-to-day operations at each store is pretty well standardized. However, we still run into issues where we have to work with the stores from time to time to make sure that they are following all their procedures and so forth. But it is very vital to make sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do from start to finish on a day-to-day basis.
And I guess that means that you're able to be a bit more proactive rather than just reacting to problems.
Correct.
Yeah, that's great. Roy, where does Amerlux fit into this part of the story?
Well, connected lighting fits well as a complement. It supports a more consistent, efficient, and automated operational environment.
Great. Yeah, I agree with that. Now that we've discussed and kind of looked at all the problems, we want to move into how operators can actually solve them.
Yes, and with problems like these, we're not just talking about changing your cameras. We're talking about faster investigations, better visibility, more context, and strong consistency across operations.
When we talk about the March networks in this context, we're really talking about a combination of intelligent video, AI smart search, evidence vault, Searchlight Cloud transaction search, auto-created cards, and sharing evidence easily, along with smart rules for proactive alerts.
Right. And before Jeff takes us into the demo, we have a question for the audience. We'd like to understand how you're thinking about cloud integrated products, systems, and storage.
Great. All right, let's launch a poll 3. How do you feel about cloud integration? We have very interested but cautious. You prefer hybrid, prefer on-premise solutions, and not a priority.
This is always an interesting one as well, because cloud conversations nowadays are rarely just a yes or no. It's a lot of teams are thinking in terms of flexibility, hybrid models, and what makes the most sense operationally.
Right. And from my experience, I would say what matters most is that the approach fits the organizational needs, resource levels and comfort level. It's usually a bit of a spectrum. It's not necessarily a single answer.
Exactly. Okay. Give it a couple more seconds, but okay. It looks like most people are leaning more towards a hybrid approach, but we are seeing a lot of people very interested. Jeff, any comments on that from March Network's point of view?
Yeah, it's really common to see a hybrid approach. Folks want to keep their existing infrastructure and continue to leverage and gain the value out of it they may have invested a long time ago. But it's great to see that many folks are becoming more and more open every day to leveraging the benefits that cloud computing can bring to the table.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for participating in that poll. I'm going to close it out now. And that was the exact context we wanted to build first, because now we know where you guys are at when it comes to cloud. And I'll pass it over to Jeff, where he's going to show us how March Networks can help solve these issues in practice.
Absolutely. Thanks, Megan. I'll keep focused on the tools that really matter most. First, I'm going to show the smart rules, which help surface patterns like after hours person detection in the vault area, repeated voids or refunds like Wayne mentioned earlier, so you can get proactive notifications along with email alerting. Next, I'll show Searchlight Cloud, where we're connecting suspicious transactions like voids, refunds, and other activity into video context. Then we're going to show how the system can create a card on the fly with natural language search, making it easier for loss prevention investigators to build and share with their team as new reports and KPIs arise. And then finally, to expand on that, we're going to show AI smart search, and this is one of the clearest examples of how operators can reduce manual review and get relevant footage faster with intuitive investigations. And we'll wrap all that up with the Evidence Vault, which is a wonderful tool to help organize investigations, making it easier to package and share what the operator has found with the local law enforcement agencies as well as litigation teams. All right, so in this slide here, we've got smart rules. This allows our customers to combine alarms, point of sale data, and other data events, even from like their cooling and heating systems, to be combined with transaction data and the video to filter out false positives and make sure that we can be proactive. So one really common example that we have a lot of folks use is give me a notification anytime a customer was not present during a void, refund, or a discount. Oftentimes that's when the employee is pocketing some cash. Move on to the next one. And here's a video clip of our Searchlight transaction search. So the Searchlight Cloud interface makes it easy to see with charts and graphs to find those statistical outliers and then start to investigate upon those ones that really stand out. So by pulling up a specific report, we can see that outlier. Let's start to do that investigation in a little bit more detail. When you click on that, now you'll be able to dive into the specific individual transactions that make up that bar graph, and then see the video that's associated with it. Having the video for context can really help a loss prevention investigator identify, hey, this is normal conduct, or there's something fishy about this transaction. Let's flag it, create some notes, and start to build a case around it. So the receipt on the left-hand side of the image pairs really well with the video on the right-hand side. And you can have multiple camera angles from the same transaction as well. Leveraging the Smart Rules tools really helps get those triggers in real time so we can squash that behavior before it starts to add up with more and more loss. Having these in the pocket of your hands with a smartphone notification or an email alert with a snapshot image of what's going on really helps folks like Wayne react quickly to these events when they happen. And that's all done with Searchlight Cloud. So one of the new features that I'm most excited about is Searchlight AI. Just like we use ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, or your favorite large language model to do a deep search and investigation on a topic that pops into your brain, you can do the same thing with this platform with Searchlight AI. Let's just talk into our application and start telling it what we want to see and let it create the cards for us. So as our threat changes and evolves, our cards, our reports, and KPIs can evolve with them. Next slide. And so here's an example of the AI Smart Search. This goes beyond just the transaction information, and this is starting to investigate the video and the images that are being captured at our locations. So I'm able to, in this case, look for unattended cash left behind. If cash is left on the desk of a manager's office and that door is not locked, an employee that's just coming by might pocket a few dollars for themselves. We can upload images, talk into this tool, and look for things that match those particular queries. In this case, we're looking for doors that are being propped open, but we can also do aggressive customer behavior, many other things that computer vision and AI analytics is not able to capture by training a camera. We can leverage the cloud to really evolve our searches to the next level. All right, and then in this slide, we're taking all of the tools that we've previously used to do our investigation, and we're going to wrap that up. So here is a quick example, a reminder of how to grab at some of those transaction components. In this case, we're looking at our loss prevention KPIs. We'll blow that up so we can focus on just the specific resources that we need. And then I'm going to dive into some of the voids. Looking at that receipt information alongside with the video by identifying a transaction brings this to the forefront. And now I need to do something with it. Well, I'll start by building a case. Case management is a tool that can be shared through the organization so that I can share my case with my team members and they can pick up where I last left off. Once we have that case, we can add other clips from other locations, or other times and dates, or other cameras, and then put notes associated with those clips. So we can really tell the story of what's happening with as much context as possible. And this case management tool, while it's all still internal, we have the ability to then bubble that up and save that into our evidence vault. And here's a case of our evidence vault where we've already got a sweethearting deal being shared. I've identified that. Oh, I'm still in case management, excuse me. So here we're doing in the web browser the case management, but this tool is also available in our thick client as well. And then now we need to do something with this tool. So we can save that case, push it to the evidence vault, and then share it with external resources. That could be the local police or litigation teams. So here we're jumping into the Evidence Vault tool, which is embedded into all of our clients, but it's also supported in a web browser. So when the local law enforcement gets this information, they're going to be able to view it without having to download and install any special player to play that back. So I've identified that sweethearting case, and now I'm going to share it with an external resource. This is going to have images, video, receipt information, along with all my notes that I've collaborated to tell the story. Go ahead and click on the share button. And once it's being shared, you can choose the email or email addresses you'd like to use to push that off to folks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeff, for that great demonstration of all the different products. So we're going to throw it back to you in the audience. Now that you've seen the demo, we want to ask you one last question.
All right. Final poll. Question is, what product or capability would bring the most benefit to your operation today? We've got AI Smart Search for faster investigations, Evidence Vault for case management, Searchlight Cloud transaction search, Smart Rules for proactive alerts, and Cloud Video Management for multi-site visibility.
Yeah, we'll give everyone a second to weigh in here. You know, obviously all of these provide value in different ways, but teams may be looking to create value in specific areas to start. So it will be really interesting to see where people are most focused today.
Whether it's faster investigation, stronger transaction review, more proactive alerts, or even just better multi-site visibility.
Agreed. Okay. Let me end and share results. So looks like AI Smart Search has come up on top. That's Jeff, Roy, Wayne, any comments on that?
No.
Jeff, what do you
was-
think?
Interesting to see the results in real time. The smart rules really popped to the top of the list at the very beginning. Being proactive or getting notifications so I don't have to be so reactive is really helpful. But ultimately, the next level of technology is where we've got that AI Smart Search, where if you can think it up, the software can help you find it, even if there's not a specific camera analytic to help identify that particular object or behavior.
Exactly. Now, thank you guys for answering that poll. Roy, now that we've talked through the 5 problems and shown how March Networks approaches everything, can you talk about where Amerlux adds value in a way that is relevant for convenience stores specifically?
Absolutely, Megan. Well, the center of the story is still around intelligent video and business intelligence. However, Amerlux adds value by strengthening the physical environment around that. For convenience store operators in particular, matters in visibility and consistency and efficiency and automation. If you want the camera system to perform well, the environment has to support that. And for partners and project stakeholders, there is also the question of reliability, timelines, and implementation value.
Yep, exactly. So having a full connected environment is kind of where everyone at the Delta Group is going, and we really want to emphasize that. So thank you for joining us and bringing that perspective today. Jim, I'm going to hand it over to you to talk with Wayne.
Yep, absolutely. Wayne, I'd like to start with, I'd like to spend a little bit more time on the customer side, obviously. Can you describe what changes your team has made once this became part of your day-to-day operations?
When we first started looking at upgrading our video system, we were looking for something that was simple and easy to use. And your product was one of those products that was introduced to us, and it was really simple. We loved the platform that it worked with, so that made it a very smart decision for us to go with. And after that, the programs that you brought on, we, were able to bench test it and start utilizing it in our day-to-day operations. We started off with the basic Searchlight, and then we transitioned into the cloud, the Searchlight Cloud, and then into the Smart Rules. So, all of these things have really benefited our operation. as far as for the management level side of operations.
Excellent. And how have you started to use AI through March Networks kind of in your day-to-day work?
Well, right now we're just using the search, the AI search. We haven't really done too much with the camera side of it, the AI camera side, but we're just using the search where we can say, hey, at this store, which operators had voids or refunds for $25 or $30 or more. And, it
Mhm.
pops it up within a couple of seconds, gives me a card, and then we can share it with the management and they can then take it from there.
Fantastic. Thank you. Up next, we'd love to move into some questions. Perfect. So my question to everyone here is there any issues or pain points or problems that you've experienced that we haven't covered yet today? We have the chat function. We also have the question function
Yep.
on the right side there. So if you want to take a couple minutes and think about what kind of questions you'd like to ask us or comments. While folks are looking to put in some of the questions that they might have, one of the things that has popped up pretty consistently, I would say, over the last couple of months is operations, businesses that have multiple operations. And they want to know, and they want to make sure that their operations, their stores are opening and closing on time. What we found I found quite a bit over the last little bit is that sometimes employees that are supposed to open the businesses are not showing up on time, sometimes showing up a couple hours late. And depending on how your business is set up, you're unable to take any sales in during that period of time. And then it works the same way at the end of the day, right? If you're supposed to be open until like, let's say 11 p.m. at night, I want to make sure that the employees are there until 11 p.m. at night to close up. And so we have utilized over the last couple of months smart rules to be able to send essentially live notifications to operations managers to let them know, hey, did your store open up on time today? Is there somebody there? There's different ways that we can go about that. We can either base it off of maybe clock in, clock out data, POS data. We have some of our customers are using contact alarms to make sure that maybe if your business has like a large gate that opens, that you can make sure that that gate opens up on time. It's been really helpful in terms of staying on top of those aspects and also making sure that if something isn't opening up on time, that you're getting notified quickly, and then you're also having a video that you can easily access that starts at the point that you want to view.
Thanks, Jim. We did just get a question come in for Wayne. While the functionality of the video system increases, so does the complexity of the implementation. What is your experience working with March Networks to get these next level features working for you?
Really well. The team has if I have had a question or a problem when we started our program, I could reach out to Jim, for example, or anybody in their team, and they would respond quickly and help us get a grasp on the situation to learn it, and train it, and then we can then turn around and train our staff with it. We've always done it in implementation of doing it with a small group within our office first to make sure that we understood it before we would then transition it out to the stores and then to the manage and the staff. So we kind of did things in steps versus just saying, here's the new program, let's go for it and best of luck. We don't do that. We kind of make sure we know what we're doing with it as we push it out.
Great. Thanks, Wayne. I have another question that's come in. How does the system give real movement outside of facility after hours? Jeff, you want to take that one? Or Jim?
Yeah, so motion detection has been commonly the most basic analytic that's out there. There's a lot of false positives when weather changes, lighting from vehicles pass by the scene, but there's really no activity on the scene itself. Leveraging the analytics-based cameras, we can identify people and vehicles. to really reduce those false positives and bring the search capability and the notifications to focus when there's an actual object in the scene rather than just some pixel changes. And then we can layer on additional things like license plate capture, so you know exactly the make, model, color of the vehicle as well as the license plate. And then tagging all of those together with transactions, you can know, hey, there's nobody on the register when a void happens, as an example.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you. Jeff, I kind of have a follow-up question. When operators are evaluating their current system, what are the first signs that it may no longer be meeting their needs?
The most common thing is that we don't use the system because it's too hard to use, or it's unreliable, or when we go to look for video, it's just not there. So they find other ways to combat this activity without leveraging video. Shifting to a intelligence-based video analytics platform, now we can get real operational efficiencies and help evolve the business to the next level.
Great, thanks, thanks, Jeff. And if a team wants to improve investigations first, where should they start?
I can answer this question in terms of the experience I've had with some of our loss prevention teams. I think that really the biggest thing comes down to is really utilizing our tool Searchlight Cloud to be able to build reports to, I mentioned it before in terms of filtering out the noise, but a lot of these businesses have so many transactions that you need to be able to receive that information in a way that allows you to make actionable differences on it. An example I can give is, I'm sure this will resonate with a bunch of people here, but if you're doing reviews on your refunds, you don't have time to go through all of your refunds. And so a lot of times it's, well, let's just go over refunds that are over X amount, let's say like $30. Well, we've found through a lot of our reporting that there are maybe employees that have picked up on that and realized that, well, if I just do a bunch of refunds that are $20 or under, they never get flagged. And what ends up happening is that, you know, they steal thousands of dollars a month, and then over a period of a year, like it can be as high as like $10,000 with some of the cases that we've assisted with. And so in terms of, for me, it's just not spending time looking at transactions that aren't as high risk as other ones are. And so it's not as simple sometimes as just that your largest refunds are the highest risk. Sometimes it's some of the lower ones that can be higher risk, and having a reporting tool that can parse that out and give you more insight and context behind it has been just massive.
Great, thanks, Jim. I'll leave it at that. And if any questions went unanswered, we will follow up with you after over email. So thank you for submitting all of your questions, and we'll move on to the next piece. The last thing that I want to leave you with is 3 key takeaways. So the first is being investigate faster. Operators need tools that reduce manual review time and help teams get to the right evidence faster. So second one, connect video to data. When video is tied to transaction and operational data, investigations become much, much more useful. So remember that. And lastly, support better operations. The strongest systems help improve visibility, accountability, and consistency across locations, as we've been saying throughout this whole webinar. At the end of the day, the biggest value comes from reducing friction between what happened and what the team can do next.
Thanks, Megan. I just wanted to thank everyone again for joining today. If these challenges are continue to be priorities for your team, we'd be more than happy to continue this conversation and show you how Marsh Networks can really help improve your environment. So yes, thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.
Yep, thanks everyone.